Welcome. I'm excited to talk to my friend Chris Tighe today, and we're going to talk about the Caffeinated Contractor. So really excited to hear the story behind, just the brand itself, the name, what a great name. And so why don't we just start there? Where'd the name come from? Is there a story behind it? What is it?
Yeah, so, just kind of high level, my business is really built on remote team members. Specifically, my team is in Mexico. And I had an executive assistant. My first executive assistant, we transitioned her into more of like a brand developer because she liked graphic art, she liked creating videos and things like that. So I told her, I said, hey, I want to create a podcast. This is what I'm going to do. Can you come up with some ideas? And she just said, how about the Caffeinated Contractor? And she gave me the logo. I'm like, that's perfect. Because I drink a lot of coffee all day long. And obviously we're in the construction world. So the name fit really well.
I love it. All these brand strategists that spend weeks or months coming up with a brand, they're probably cringing a little bit right now. But I think that's how it works sometimes. You see the brilliance of an idea, and then you can explain. You're probably having waves, after you came up with a name, you're having waves of realizing the meaning and how it works for you. Like you said, I drink a lot of coffee, and it's all about, and when I think of what I know of you and the company, and there's an element of acceleration toward your goals and achievement, and so that's, you're being caffeinated,
exactly
tells us that story. So I think it's a great brand,
and it's authentic to me, right? Because the logo is military green. I'm a military guy, retired military. I drink a lot of coffee, and then the intro, when you watch my podcast on the video, you'll see that there's a photo of me drinking coffee with my tattoo at Black Rifle Coffee, and a video of me shooting a gun. So, it's very authentic to me, which I really think it's cool.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I had an experience where that exact thing happened, where we actually had brand strategists, and in the very early stages, a name popped out, it was thrown out right away, and we're like, let's let the process happen. and we picked it in the end, we went through the whole process and we picked it. So it sounds like you had a similar experience where you just had a great epiphany and had a great brand, and then it actually really
I said, we're doing it. Like, no further discussion. That's it.
That's cool. Yeah. And knowing you too, quick thinker, quick decision maker, you were able to do that quickly.
Makes it easier, yeah.
So tell us about, you mentioned the podcast, and the podcast itself is branded the Caffeinated Contractor,
correct.
Right?
Yeah. So just kind of, from the beginning, what I wanted to do is, a lot of people have this issue is that they just have a problem talking in front of people. And so I had that, and I was always afraid to be in front of the camera. But I wanted to overcome all of this because I know the business is really banking on me putting myself out there. So I'm like, I'm doing this. Let's get this done. So we went through this process. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is the name of the podcast. And then I needed to learn how to start interviewing, right? So initially, the purpose of the podcast was because we're in the construction world, I wanted to create videos and episodes for homeowners who are doing research on remodeling and all the services that we provide. After about 20 episodes, what we found was that majority of our listeners were other contractors. And when they would, locally there in Houston, when they found out who I am, they would say, hey, can I meet with you? I want to talk to you about a couple of things. And it always comes around, how do you hire remote team workers to support your back office? How do you do this SEO? How do you get leads from your website? So those discussions and SOPs. We're really big on SOPs. You and I talked about that yesterday. So whenever they meet with me one-on-one, we talk about those specific things. And I wasn't really getting any traction on the homeowners side. So I said, well, I get a lot of energy talking about business and SEO and remote teamwork, and I love helping people do that. I don't get so excited about talking about like a home security system. Let's bring on a home security system expert and talk about that. It doesn't bring me joy. I'm not excited about it. So we changed the direction of the podcast about episode 24, where now our target audience are people in the trades, construction people who are struggling with, getting their admin done on time. Are they communicating well with their clients? Are they efficient? Do they spend thousands of dollars on a website and they're not getting any leads? Let's talk about that. So that's the focus of the podcast now.
Very cool. Yeah, I love it that you embody having an open or growth mindset, and like you said, you're a little nervous, and so instead of having a closed mindset and saying, I'm not going to be on camera, or I don't know how to do that. You actually leaned into it, and I'm going to go conquer that.
I did,
and
man.
You did it. And then somebody taught me somewhere along the way that it's easier to redirect something in motion than it is to start from no motion. You know, so in other words, like you went out, you started heading in a direction, and because you were moving, you could then, and you learned as you were interacting with your audience, you say, hey, this actually needs to be something a little different.
Yeah.
And you're able to shift. So it's your focus was not as much about homeowners in terms of your content, but and then that's led you to, I think now, hey, there's actually a whole need, an industry out there that has a real need that I can serve, right?
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so tell us about that a little bit. You know, tell us about what are the needs that you mentioned it a little bit, but like how maybe you have an example of, you know, a recent contractor you've helped.
Yeah. So it was at the last BA event where it had been in my mind of like, you know, I kind of like helping people build their team remotely, telling them how it works and showing them how I do it, and helping them with their business. And it was Chase last BA event. He goes, hey, I want to talk to you. He says, I really think you should focus on this. I said, it's interesting you say that because it's been on my mind forever. And so at that point, I'm like, you know what? Forget it. Caffeinated Contractor, it's a company now. This is the direction of my podcast. And organically, just by me talking about it, I was getting phone calls left and right. Hey, Chris, hey, I'm going to pay you, man. Can you just find me an EA in Mexico or the Philippines? And can you do the interview process for me? Just give me some people I can choose from, and then we'll go from there. And I recently was able to do that for a couple of people, and I've seen some really good results. And for me, my energy's like skyrocketed because I'm like, I love this stuff, you know? So it's a lot of fun for me.
And when I think about contractors versus other industries, or, you know, the corporate roles, especially internal roles, like let's say in a call center, you know, like everybody comes into the office, they're all there. It's sort of like a fishbowl, you can see it all. But when people go out into the field, they're doing jobs, you know, it's harder to know what's happening out there. So there are a lot of unique things, I think, in that industry. What are some things you see that, you know, make it a unique need that they have, you know, and they struggle, like, why can they not figure some of this stuff out on their own? What are their struggles?
Sir, yeah. So when I first started out, when I found that I needed some help, but I didn't have the revenue to bring in a local person to help me out, I heard about the remote teamwork from my property management days. I used to be a property manager. So I said, let's just bring that concept into my company here. I was driving an hour each way to my projects. I had 30 projects going on at once. We were remodeling 3 apartment complexes. It was just me and my computer and my card fold-up table. That was it. And I was driving around. Initially, when I was first started, my communication to the investors was really good, and I got a lot of compliments on that. But as you get busy, that kind of falls through because you want to make sure the project's being done. So as I'm bouncing around, I didn't know what my AR was. I didn't know what my AP was. I'd be going to projects and my subs were saying, hey, Mr. Chris, I need some more money. I need some more money. I'm like, all right, man, I'll write you a check. I hope this is like, you know, now take a picture of the check and hopefully I remember to record that when I get back to the house. And it's just not a way to do business at all. So my first remote team member I got was, okay, the biggest pain point for me right now is communication. So your job is to read my email, and as I'm driving around, read my email to me, and I'll tell you what to type for me. And at first, I would go home and I would read it in the draft form and then click send, but as time went on, they just sent it for me. So email was off my list. The next one was phone calls. I was not answering my phone anymore. In fact, I hate talking on the phone. So I got a voice over IP system, and the phone would ring on my phone, but it would also ring on my assistant's computer. So she would answer all the phones for me. I don't have to answer the phone or text messages anymore. Email, phones, the next thing was my calendar because I kept triple booking myself and I felt bad about it. So now I don't even touch my calendar. They do my calendar for me. So I find all these things where I'm struggling in, and if it's not necessary to be done right here in this location, it can be done anywhere in the world. So that's how I've found a way to leverage remote teamwork to scale my business.
Yeah, I love it. I think with contractors especially, it's so easy to get sucked into all the aspects of being on site and doing all the kind of back office work and all that. And you were describing that. I think so many contractors can relate to.
Yeah.
That's a lot of chaos that you're living
in. It is, yeah.
And it creeps into your personal life, and it's just a really hard. And you know you're not running your business as well as you can. You know you're not as profitable as you could be because of all these reasons. So it sounds to me like you freed up some of your availability. You created some margin in your life by offloading some of those things.
Yep.
And I think as people hear your story, they, I want to do that. How do I do
Exactly.
that?
Yeah.
And so you've had people asking you, help me, because I understand the concept, but I know it's going to take a lot of time and effort to go try to do it on my own. I'm going to fumble through it.
Exactly.
And so you kind of guide them through. So it's just kind of the easy button and help them get quicker to those results.
Cool. I've hired so many in the last few years because I had two businesses, the property management and my construction business. And at one point I had 12 to 15 remote team members. And so once I hired maybe 5 or 6, I said, you know what, we need to create a hiring process because I want to make sure I'm hiring the right people. So we created a really good process where, we would put out the job announcement and we would, vet through all of the applicants. Like I would get like 80 applicants for one job. So that's a lot of applications to go through. So I have my initial criteria that they need to meet. Then another disc profile that I want them to have. I want them to have videos so they can show me their language skills and their confidence when they speak. So when I see all that stuff, I'm able to narrow it down to about 3 or 4. From there, I do an interview where I have a scorecard and I make sure that I score each. I think there's like 10 different categories where I score them. And then I have ChatGPT. I take the transcript of the interview, put it into ChatGPT. I have ChatGPT score it. So I have my score, my assistant score, and I have ChatGPT score, and I come up with an average. And from there, we give them a challenge. If it's an executive assistant, here's a calendar challenge. Here is a organization challenge. Here's a bunch of files, organize it, make a video and tell us why you organize it that certain way, and then another job-specific challenge. And from there, we have their ability to interview, the way they answered. We have their ability to talk through why they did certain things on our job, and their work ethic. We give them 72 hours. Did they do it within the first 24, or did they wait till the last minute? So we're able to measure a lot of different things to see if they're good culture fit, the quality of work, and if they are a right fit based on their disc profile and their interview skills.
I love it. The more we talk, I love hearing the stories, and I feel like you were made for like a virtual assistant. I'm trying to think of the right words, but it's like just gas for you.
It is
gasoline on the fire type thing,
because
you're so systematized anyway. And I think of a VA in some ways similar to like AI. Mm-hmm. And people talk about prompts for AI, and you have to give them good prompts. You have to give AI a good prompt to get a good result.
Right.
And I think of VAs a similar way, that you have to give them good instructions and all that. And I feel like without that, you can actually maybe waste time and certainly not get as good of a result unless you do all the things you're talking about and really manage that whole process well. All the stuff that you just mentioned, you could just go try to hire a VA, or you could do it with some systems around it and have a really good result.
Right.
So I love it.
You get data behind it. You don't just go based on, you know what, I like how you talk, I'm going to hire you, right? Then 3 months later, like, why did I hire this guy or girl? You get data behind it. You eliminate. You don't totally eliminate hiring a bad employee, but it's a pretty good fit after you go through all of that. Plus, they're willing to go through the interviews and the challenge and things like that. So if they're willing to go through all that stuff, like, they really want that job.
Yeah, you're vetting out people and a lot of other, so you can make a more informed decision. You still use gut, but you also use all the information.
Exactly.
Too.
Yeah.
Cool. Really
Absolutely.
cool. So if somebody needs your help, they think, gosh, sign me up, or where would they go to learn more about either hear your podcast or engage you to help them?
Yeah, so go to my podcast, and my YouTube channel is the Caffeinated Contractor. We have, since we changed the direction, we have about 4 episodes in on the new direction. All the old stuff is with my construction website, Elevation Construction Team. But the Caffeinated Contractor, we're on YouTube, we're on IG as well, Instagram. So you can find us there, send us messages. We'd love to help anyone out. I love doing this stuff. I had a sales call this morning, and I got like a lot of energy from that. So it was cool. I enjoy helping other people in the trades because I know their pain. I've been there.
Well, that's great. Well, any contractors out there, I hope you're listening, and I hope you have learned something from this session. There's a lot to learn here from Chris, and that you would engage him and get some of that freedom in your life, and so you're not running around in chaos. Thank you.